Democrats are putting all their candy in a new basket of candidates this Halloween, and the result for Americans can be downright nauseating. Here is Democratic gubernatorial hopeful Andrew Gillum on the trick he has in store for Florida voters.
But you do want to raise taxes on businesses?
Correct. I believe that businesses ought to pay their fair share.
You do want Medicare for all?
I do believe that health care ought to be a right and not a privilege.
So you would acknowledge that you are perhaps more progressive than many,
progressive,
many in your party.
Progressive, I wouldn't deny any day of the week.
Everything's free. No one has to pay anything. Now, I can't imagine that this is what Florida voters really want. Higher taxes, more spending, and more regulations that'll end up choking their state's now thriving economy. And then there's another charismatic leftist, Stacey Abrams, running for governor of Georgia. Now, she has a positively spooky view of basic economics.
And I am sick and tired of hearing about the free market being the solution to this problem. Because I've never seen the free market write a prescription in rural Georgia.
Yeah, let's have state price controls. That always work well for the United States or any country. Why waste time with capitalism when socialist redistribution seems, like so much more fair? Well, Abrams is currently running neck and neck with Republican Secretary of State Brian Kemp. And now she's trying to connect with the regular folks by bringing in mega star power. Oprah is coming into town, and she's hoping to be the queen maker in Georgia. And comedian Will Ferrell is going door to door to canvass for Abrams, hoping that you think he's a real anchorman who knows something about politics. Former President Barack Obama and Senator Bernie Sanders are also expected in Georgia next week. And meanwhile, President Barack Obama heads down to Florida on Friday, totally unfazed by the new revelations that his guy, Andrew Gillum, was again shown to be corrupt. Of course, what he did, well, he used taxpayer funds from his mayoral office to take a private plane to meet with his donors to his gubernatorial run. When confronted on his corruption, Gillum runs to race.
I don't take free trips from anybody. I'm a hardworking person. I know that may not fit your description of what you think people like me do, but I worked hard for everything that I've gotten in my life, and I don't need anybody handing me anything for free.
Yeah, that subtext wasn't too hard to read. His frequent trick, of course, is used to deflect questions about his own Tallahassee sleaze by claiming that his opponent, Republican Ron DeSantis, is just a blatant racist.
I do think that Mr. DeSantis is probably given too much harbor to racists and xenophobes and anti-Semites. He's spoken at conferences with them. He authored a book justifying slavery.
Okay, now that's just a bald-faced lie. Ron DeSantis wrote a book justifying racism or slavery? I mean, it's a wonder he was ever elected to the House of Representatives. Well, we pulled the book. It's called Dreams from Our Founding Fathers. And in it, DeSantis recounts how Alexander Hamilton and Benjamin Franklin lamented the, quote, notorious compromises that were made to tolerate slavery so the Constitution could actually pass, so you could form a government. And here's the quotation. For anti-slavery delegates like Hamilton and Franklin, abolition of slavery would be a moot point if a failure to erect a functioning government snuffed out the ideals of the American Revolution in their infancy. Then the future of all Americans, the free as well as the slave, would eventually be as serfs to a despotic government. The recitation of historical fact is not racist, nor is it justifying slavery. And either Andrew Gillum is just really not all that smart, or he's purposely lying about something this awful and horrible. It's defamatory, and it should not be tolerated or rewarded by the voters of Florida. But, of course, racism seems to be one of the most potent forces that the Democrats have in their trick bag this midterm season. Everywhere you turn, the refrain is the same.
What I did wrong in 2016 is I overestimated white people. I didn't think white people would put him in office. So here he is running around the country, appealing to our darker angels, appealing to our hatreds and fears. And I'm supposed to believe that Delaware County in Ohio is not going to vote for him, that the suburbs in Pennsylvania aren't going to vote for him.
If the evidence is there, what do you want me to do? Lie about it? I'm a journalist. I have to give the facts and the truth. The truth and the evidence points to him being a racist. He's a racist.
This is race baiting taken to a new low, if it's even possible to go any lower. Rather than mount credible arguments in the face of Trump's success, it's easier to tar him and all Republicans who ever supported him as racists or just members of the Third Reich. They're completely race-obsessed on the left. Here's Indiana's Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly, who recently attempted to brag about some of his employees, or at least about their ethnicity.
Our state director is Indian American, but he does an amazing job. Our director of all constituent services, she's African American, but she does an even more incredible job than you could ever imagine.
I don't know what that is. It takes your breath away. And at a moment when the country is focused on immigration and securing the border, Texas Democratic superstar Beto O'Rourke dropped this treat on MSNBC's Chris Matthews. He slipped it in his view of the border while talking about how he met his wife.
We met on a blind date in El Paso before Tinder and took her over the bridge to Ciudad Juarez, our sister city, had a margarita at the Kentucky Club, and we just really hit it off. And I tell that story to folks to kind of remind them of the binational nature of the U.S.-Mexico border.
Somehow, somewhere, that passes as really intelligent, the binational nature of the border. Well, a border is between two countries, right? So there are two, but what does that mean, binational nature? They're two distinct nations, and a border should be protected, Robert. But now compare all those Democratic tricks, the tax hikes, the empty racism charges, the vision of an open border, abolishing ICE, all that stuff, to Trump's treats. Now, under this president, this news came out today, wages and salaries rose 3.1% in the third quarter, the biggest increase in a decade. The GDP expanded by a 3.5% annual rate, ahead of the 3.4% expectation. African-American and Hispanic unemployment are at historic lows. And the president is taking real steps, like sending 5,000 troops to the border, to protect our sovereignty and your bottom line, your wallet. You'll note the Democrats don't really offer any cogent argument or response alternative to the Trump record because they expect to win via a sustained campaign of anti-Trump anger and race baiting. But like old Halloween candy, none of that's going to satisfy or sustain the country. And it'll just give you a really bad aftertaste in your mouth. It's kind of bitter. And that's the angle.